welcome back to day 5, where we're going to be talking about what it means to understand the foundation of your purpose. So, welcome back, everyone. Evelyn Tribble here. Super excited to be here with you. We have been going over lots of things this week, and so we're going to do a quick recap, but also I'm going to share with you what this, let's see, I'm going to see if I can get this, see if I can, let's see, page URL, okay, all right, I think we can do this. This is all happening pretty quickly. This has been so much fun, you guys. Who has had so much fun with this? I'm going to get going here. I was trying to see if I can share it to all the other groups, but I don't know if I can. So that's okay. That's all right. Let's see if I can, if it's actually working. I think. I don't know. Okay, I think I did it the opposite way, but that's okay. Every day is different. You know what? And that's what I love about this, is that you don't have to know it all. You don't have to be perfect at this. But if you allow every single time you fail to be a teacher, it can be the best teacher. So if you want to allow yourself to learn from your failures, you will grow so much more. Okay? All right, so let's get into today. Welcome back, friends. I am so grateful that you're here for day 5 of the Swap the Waste, Fuel the Change challenge. Over the past few days, you guys, we've walked through detoxing your mind, your body, your home, and also your business, your work, leadership. Today, we're going to bring it all together because I'm going to say this. Transformation isn't complete until it's shared. Okay, so if you have been with me here for more than one day this week, type I am still here. All right, so for day 5, we have been, every single day, I've been giving you some kind of journal prompt where you can, there's 3 reflection questions, okay? And so here is for day 5. Day 5 is, where do I feel called to lead right now? And number 2 is, how can my wellness journey reflect my faith? And then 3, what would $500 a month of purpose-filled income do for my family? Now, I want you to do this after watching the replay, okay? Because this is actually more of a reflection after you watch today, okay? All right. Don't forget, I actually want to share, stick around till the end because I do want to share the special bonus that I have that is in addition to what I've been sharing all week long about the 12-week experience, okay? So just make sure you stick around for that. All right, who is in our leaderboard, you guys? Jessica Francisco, she is up at 470 points. Woo, wow. Roberta, right behind her, 460. Yvonne, 410. You guys, this is amazing. Just as a recap, I will be sharing the winners tomorrow morning. So Saturday morning, you'll receive a text from me. And for those of you that have registered, and I will let you know who the winners are. But here we go, you guys. There's so much that you can still do to get your points. As a matter of fact, all of the replays, all the videos for this week, it will be up until next Saturday. It will come down next Saturday on the 24th. All the videos will be gone, okay? So go ahead, and if you've registered and you said, okay, yeah, this is what I really wanted to do, check it out, you were curious, you have until the 24th, but stick around till the end because I do have a special offer for you if you're just like, man, life happened and I haven't had a chance to do this, okay? But you really want to, so don't worry about that, okay? All right, just stick around. Yesterday, I asked for you guys to write a testimonial and to create a post with some kind of aha moment that you have had so far this week. How has this challenge helped propel you into just intentional action? And you guys, I have loved hearing your testimonials. I got one from Katie. She said, the session this week has provided an extra sense of peace to my day each morning this week. It has reminded me to slow down, take a breath, and focus on what truly matters. She also said, getting my head and heart right each day not only affects myself and my own mood, but also those around me, which is my family, my friends, my coworkers. It has been such a refreshing experience. Evelyn truly has a gift at coaching and guiding others towards re-identifying their focus and their purpose. It's almost like sometimes we just need a little reminder, right? Like we know what to do, but just knowing that there's a little reminder there where God's been prompting us for quite a while, maybe, but then somebody else does something, right? And you're just like, okay, I've been hearing it multiple times now from the Lord, and it's obvious that He's trying to talk to me, right? So I just love that. Thank you, Katie. And then Jessica, she wrote one quick testimony. She said, I finally took the plunge and I ordered some healthy, non-toxic laundry and dishwasher products from Norwex last night. Woo woo. I've been wanting to try some of their products for quite some time, as you know. What a perfect time, the laundry detergent. I needed it. It is on sale, by the way, she said. All right, so in the meantime, while I'm waiting for my order to arrive, I'll work on using up some of what I have already have. It's been, it'll be a laundry weekend for me, she says. I wish my kiddos were a little older to help more. I love the way you teach your boys to do their own laundry on Fridays along with their bedding. And then you get a screen time for reward. Yes, yes, absolutely. Today I have a little self-care plan that is awesome, Jessica, for the morning, and then you have plans to tackle something on your list this evening, and you picked up an extra shift tomorrow, so you will get to bed early. Awesome. Your body is begging for it. So thank you for all the education you've provided this week. That is awesome. Like, that is action. That is intentional action at heart. I just love this, right? You know what to do. You know what you've been prompted to do. And this is just a little help, right? A little like push, like, okay, let's get to it. And then here's Roberta. I love her honesty, you guys, and I just really wanted to share this. One of the reasons I'm sharing it last. She said, I'll be honest, when I started this week, I wasn't really sure if I would stick it out. Everything around me recently, from sermons at church, Sunday school lessons, my mind and body, my reactions to those around me have all been telling me that I need to refocus my priorities, right? And so she goes on and she's like, wow, I'm doing this one more thing to add to my day. And she realizes that the Lord's been speaking to her for quite some time now. And she's like, for the first time in my life, I felt like it was okay. It's almost like she needed the permission to say that it's okay, to recognize, to step back and just say, hey, the Lord's been speaking to me about this one thing, and it's okay, to follow His prompting, even if it doesn't necessarily feel comfortable, right? Because it's not like us to say no to people, right? I mean, we want to be able to be helpful, especially if we're passionate about something, right? But in this particular case, she knew that out of obedience, the Lord had been speaking already in her heart. And this was almost like it just gave her that permission to say, like, hey, it's okay. It's okay to step back, reflect. And if it's a no, it might be uncomfortable, yeah, but it will propel you to where the Lord is calling you to do. So I just love these testimonies, and that's what this whole challenge was about. So thank you, ladies, for sharing that. That took courage, I know, and I'm just so proud of you for your intentional actions throughout this week. Okay, so why does today matter? Today matters when we're talking about understanding the foundation of your purpose. It matters because here's the thing, you guys. Shame will keep you silent, but silence will also keep you stuck. And ownership, when we begin to own this, what ends up happening is that it releases our purpose. Okay? I love this. So okay, so I'm going to get back to my notes here. Every detox that we walked through this week Your mind, your body, your home, your work was preparing you for today. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to help identify what your mess is without shame. Actually, you're going to. I'm just going to give you some promptings and some prompt questions, and then you're going to identify what your mess was without shame so that you can see it through the lens of stewardship, right? But not failure. I'm also going to help you recognize God's work in your turning point. Where was that? What was that? Where alignment, obedience, or surrender shifted everything. And then we're going to translate your story into purpose and leadership so that your life becomes a testimony that actually will bring about freedom, hope, and direction to others. You guys, because the mess that you've walked through becomes the ministry that you will reach others, I just want you to know that God does not waste pain. He actually redeems it and then he multiplies it. So if you believe that God can use your story, go ahead and type use me in the comments. Use me. So let's get into this, okay? All right. So the very thing the enemy tried to use to break you is often the thing that God will use to bless others through you. Did you know that? Did you know that? Let me go on to the next one. The very thing the enemy tried to use to break you is often the thing that God will use to bless others through you. Look at this, right? We could mellow in this. We could wallow in the pain. We could wallow in our messes and our bad decisions, maybe in shame and guilt, right? We could. Or we could give it to God, help, have him release it to him, and then just have God use you through it, right? So that you can actually bless others through your story. So if you're ready to stop hiding your story, type no more hiding. No more hiding. Today is a little bit different. This is going to be a little bit more of a workshop style session. So I do want you to go ahead and grab your notebook. Seriously, just go and grab it now, okay? It's not a big deal. I'll be here. We're not going to make this, overly polished and overly perfect at all, okay? And we're simply just telling the truth. We're just going to tell the truth, and it's just between you and your journal at this point, and God happens to be there, right? So sometimes the hardest part is just simply starting to put pen to paper. Have you noticed that? That's why I love a good journal during my quiet time and study time, because I can reflect on what I'm reading, but also reflect on what I feel God prompting in my heart as I'm in prayer or spending time in scripture, right? Okay, so here's what I want you to do. Come back to me with your notebook now, okay? Or a piece of paper. Just grab what you got. If you have your workbook printed out, that's what you're going to use it on, okay? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to write down these 3 questions, or you can even screenshot it for later, okay? But the key is I want you to actually write it down. Okay, so you're going to write down, number 1, your mess. Where were you stuck? Okay, this could go back in time. In the past challenges, I've had people really just, it's almost like God took them back, way back, even to when they were a child, okay? So where were you stuck and what weighed you down? And this has been coming up all week, so you kind of know, right? If you've been listening to day 1, 2, 3, 4, and even if you're not, take a screenshot, literally. Do this exercise. Just do it today from scratch, okay? When you say your mess, things are going to come up for you. Oh, yeah. Okay, so where were you stuck? What weighed you down? And I'm going to be quiet for a lot of it. So you might feel a little uncomfortable, but actually the silence is what's going to help you do this. So where were you stuck? What weighed you down? And by the way, if you already know yours, type mine in the comments. And some of you might feel like open about sharing it in the comments. Just know this is a public live stream, so that's okay if you feel comfortable with that. But if you already know yours, type mine if you're writing it down on a journal, okay? Keep the engagement going. All right, and so the next thing we're going to go into is your turning point. And you can keep writing, it's okay, not a big deal. But I want you to write down, like, what actually shifted for you? What did God use to get your attention? That's another good way of asking, trying to get to the point where, like, what actually shifted you? And I'm going to share my story in a little bit, so it'll help you, okay? Maybe it'll get the juices flowing if this is your first time hopping on with me. So what shifted, and what did God use to get your attention? If you know that moment, type shift in the comments. Shift. Okay, and then number 3 is your message. Okay, so we've got your your turning point, and then your message. That's the framework. What encouragement would you give another person based on where you were stuck, what was weighing you down, how did God get your attention, what gave you that shifting point, right? How would you encourage somebody else? Another person walking through that same struggle. Another way of saying it is, you're looking at your better version of yourself, right? The better version of yourself. What would you tell yourself now, where you were at 5 years ago, right? Or 6 years ago, or even last year? What would you say to yourself now, knowing what you know, experiencing what you've experienced, having gone through what you have gone through? What would you tell yourself 3 years ago, 5 years ago, whenever you were going through that? So that will help give you an idea of, like, what encouragement would I give another person walking through that same struggle, right? So even one word counts. I want you to know that. So just type message if you're writing, if you're still writing. And you're gonna hear me pause. I'm gonna give some silence, and I'm just gonna let you write. Okay, so I'll go first. For me, it was my health. I had some aches in my shoulder. I was going through a lot of stress at that moment. I was looking down and I was like, oh my goodness, where did this belly pouch come from? I didn't want it. It was during that time that God led me to different wellness supplements, but also just knowledge about strength training, right? And he revealed to me that my worth isn't in my body. It's in Christ alone. And so that really became my message. I didn't want to highlight, the Lord wasn't calling me to brand any particular, whether it was my company or any particular supplement that I was taking. I knew that. What he was calling me to brand was his work in me, what he was doing in me. And so what he was doing is he was actually sharing with me that my worth isn't in my body. I had to know who I was. And I'm going to tell you about the Remain method and the framework, how this actually applies to your purpose, okay? At the end, I'll share that. So what became my message is that actually you can steward your health and your home without losing sight of the one who gives you your true identity. So you can I think it's important, right? God has given us our bodies to steward, our homes to steward, our businesses to steward, right? Because it's our finances, the money, the time, how we use our energy, right? He has given all of that to steward. But what he doesn't want us to lose sight of the one who actually gives us our true identity. So our true identity, for like our boys, for example, it's not in sports, right? They have to know how to stand um, on their own without sport. If something was to happen, they get injured, or they have they have big dreams. A couple of them of going to play for college, even professional. Okay, one's professional soccer, professional basketball. Like they have aspirations for that. But what if something was to happen to them, God forbid, physically, and they're not able to? If we don't teach them to place their identity in the one who gives them those skills in the first place, then they would be lost if something was to happen and that was to be taken away from them, right? So we don't want that. The same thing is for ourselves, right? So God has given us our bodies, our homes, our finances, our time, our energy to steward. But what he wants us to keep in mind and not lose sight of is actually he's the one that's given to us those things to steward in the first place. And so our true identity is in him alone, in Christ alone. Okay, so does that make sense? So why this matters is when you own your own story, then it does three things for you. It's going to free you from shame if something goes wrong, right? If you lose a game, for like my boys, let's go back to that example, right? If they lose a game, they're not going to be walking around in shame. It's going to free them from shame because they know whose they are. They know where their true identity is placed on, and that's in him, right? In Jesus. It also inspires others who need hope. The way they respond is going to trickle effect into their teammates, right? They can either hold negativity, defeat, shame, guilt, right? Or they can hold hope, insight. What can they learn from that game, from that loss? Yeah, it'll sting. Yes, it will be hard, right? It hurts, of course. Losing a championship, it hurts, right? But what can they learn from that? What can they gain from that loss? So that's hope. It creates and inspires others who need hope. It also will position you to lead in your home, in your workplace, ministry, and business. So God didn't just bring you through something for you, he actually brought you through it so that you could bring someone else along. Have you ever thought about that? He doesn't just bring you through the fire. We talked about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego being thrown into literally the fire, right? And even though he allows us to go through the fire, he might not keep us from going through the fire. He will always be there with us. And not only that, but have you ever thought about that he brings us through it so that we can bring someone else along? That's this image, and I love this, okay? So type freedom if you're ready to release the shame. If you've been holding shame or guilt, I want you to type um, shame. No, type freedom if you're just ready to release that shame and guilt. Once and for all, freedom. Sometimes just typing that word, it's the action. Action creates momentum. Okay, and it creates freedom. Just one simple word. Or type inspired if you want your story to encourage others. Inspire. Put that in the comments. And if you know that you're being positioned to lead, drop lead in the comments. All right, so it's your turn. These are the prompts. What was your mess? What was your turning point? And what's your message? And I also want to be, really honest with you. One challenge can start transformation. So if you have felt like, wow, this was my, like, all of a sudden you're just like, oh my goodness, this was the mess that God, was helping me to, like, speaking to me about and wanting me to get unstuck. And he was talking to me, but it's almost like I just kept it in my mind. Right now I was able to just like share it, and here's my turning point. So this challenge could honestly be the start of your transformation. But here's the thing, it's not going to sustain you. This 1 week, this one challenge is not going to sustain you. So that's why you need to know, okay, this might be my turning point, but what's my message? What does God want me to learn through this, right? Through that mess. Um, and so that, one, it could help somebody else, but also so that it can sustain me, like that change, that momentum, right? So transformation does last when there's commitment. So we want commitment, we want community, we want consistent alignment, um, right? Okay, this is exactly why I created the 12-week Remain experience, and you've heard me talking about this from day one. So I'm just going to go full circle, and we're going to talk about it. What this 12-week experience has is the Remain 360 app that the Lord has helped me to create. He wanted me to create this. I thought it was going to be a 4-week women's Bible study, y'all. But as I started getting into it, writing, in fact, I had the whole shell written for this Bible study. And something would just like stop me. I couldn't get past this shell. Something, it was just constant. And then realized one day it was just like this. It was like, it's an app. Oh my goodness, I have no idea how to create an app, but it's an app. So it's the Remain 360 app. Everything just flowed. It happened all within 15 days, like from realizing what the Lord was asking me to do, to implementation and getting it out there and offering it and putting it part of my 12-week experience, so much so that now it's the 12-week Remain experience. I haven't told you that yet, right? I've been calling it the 12-week experience. It's the 12-week Remain experience. So it's this app. Okay, so like, what's the big deal about this app? Well, it's a guided journey where we align your mind, your body, your home, your business, all with Jesus at the center. That's why you see that cross. And this is what it looks like, okay? So I will say it's not about doing more, but it is about showing up better. It's about sustaining you. It's about helping you to not just sustain you, that momentum, that's transformation, right? But also to help others through it. To help others through it. So I do want you to hear this clearly. There's no pressure here. I just want to be able to give you 2 clear pathways, okay, to have access to this Remain 360 app. The first option, it's the 12-week Remain experience. So you would receive 12 weeks of support, coaching, accountability, community. This is more for a classroom style, or this is mainly for the person who, she's an implementer, okay? She's an implementer, but she loves structure, she loves accountability, and she loves the community. Like, you love community. That's what you're going to implement regardless. Whether you have the app or whether you have coaching, you're going to implement. That you know about yourself. Okay, but you love it. So this is more of a classroom style teaching. We meet 3 out of 4 weeks in the month, okay? And it's more about application right in that call. So you're going to get the worksheets in the Remain app, but we actually do them together during the coaching call. So 3 out of the 4. So it's a 12 weeks total of support, but it's really 9 calls because it's 3 in 3 months, okay? This one is $997. Actually, It's a $50,000 program. That is how much I've invested, um, not just in the in creating the app, but just in learning how to coach myself, right? And then the skills, everything I've learned up until this point, I've invested $50,000 in my business. Super exciting to be able to have been able to do that, right? But I'm giving this to you for 997. So how you get in is you put down the first $100 deposit. Basically, that secures your spot. Um, and then the remaining 897 is split over 6 months. Okay, so that's the first option. The second option is the Remain 360 app without the 12 weeks of support or coaching or accountability and community, okay? However, this is for the woman who actually, she's an implementer. She just needs a little bit more flexibility, right? Flexibility with the finances, flexibility with her time, okay? But she's going to do it. She's going to do it. So this is a monthly subscription. It's 6 weeks worth, really, of like, in, of the videos, and it goes through the Remain method, and it teaches you. But with that, you get to go at your own pace, and you get 30 daily devotions through the book of Philippians. It's actually joy in the process. So there you go. That's the Bible study, y'all. But it's actually in form of a daily devotion. So you get 30 of those. Okay. And then you also get 30 home alignment tasks. So let's just say your goal for 2026, or even for this next quarter, is to get your home organized, decluttered. So you're going to take each of those home alignment tasks and just work on one section of your home, one little part of your home. And you could spread this over 3 months, over 6 months, or over the entire year, right? It's up to you. It's a monthly subscription, so you just keep paying a subscription the longer you want it. That's just bottom line, okay? $9.99 is the monthly subscription. All right. It also is going to give you some workouts, so a workout plan. If there's a beginner, there's a moderate, and then there's an advanced level. So every day you have 30 of those, but every day it is listed in either beginner, moderate, or advanced. And you get to pick what you want to do. Sometimes the beginner is actually like a 20-minute. So it could be that you're short on time, but you've committed to doing a workout that day. These are the workout plans that I use. I've just been able to organize them in such a way that you can pick, beginner, moderate, advanced. So if it was like a 20-minute that you have, to do it, you're running out of time, hit the beginner section, right? It does get a little bit more longer in advance if you hit that moderate and advanced, okay? But you can go at your own pace. So you don't have to pay for a gym necessarily. You're an implementer, right? You're going to do it. You just need to go at your own pace. You need more flexibility with time and with the finances piece. And so there's the Remain 360 app. So again, it's a monthly subscription, $9.99. You go at your own pace. You decide how long you want to take this for. There's also the body wellness supplements that I take, so the bioactive peptides, and also the non-toxic home essentials that I use for cleaning our home, which is with Norwex. Those are all there as you're working through it and you're just like, oh, maybe I want to incorporate this into my health plan or into my home, detoxing plan, whatever your goals are. I have those in there for you. So again, they're just extra resources. All right. So again, there's just 2 different options for you and you get to pick. All right. So for the last one, I want to, let's just talk heart to heart for a moment. Most women feel guilty investing in themselves. I'm going to say this first and foremost. We will spend on clutter, on clothes, on convenience. Okay. But we tend to hesitate to invest in learning new skills and taking on things that will help us, create better habits for ourselves and better rhythms that will actually transform our lives. That we hesitate because somehow our value, our worth, we haven't put, we haven't identified that, hey, Christ alone, our identity is in Christ alone, right? And sometimes we have a hard time. But I also, and I want to say this very gently, the best investment that you'll ever make is the one that ripples into your peace, your leadership, your income, and your impact. So if you do not have peace about investing in the 12-week experience, then I also don't want you to do it. Okay. Because I do want it to bring peace. It's intended to bring peace and freedom. All right. So option two, the Remain 360 app might be your thing, right? But I also want you to be able to ask, not just, is this easy, but is this right? Sometimes the very thing that we hesitate to step into is the breakthrough that we've been praying for. We've been praying for it. God's given it to us, right? So I want you to ask, is this right? So if you feel God nudging you, type praying. Like, I'm praying. Okay? So again, it gives you two different options. To bring it to a close, the Remain method applies to your mind, to your body, to your home, to your business, leadership, and and then it also applies to your purpose. So for your purpose, here's what I want you to do. The R stands for rooted. We first need to discover that nothing sticks without a strong identity foundation to guide your purpose. And then we want to evaluate. This is the awareness piece. We want to gain crystal clarity. We want to be so crystal clear why our struggles, why your struggle don't disqualify you, but can actually direct your purpose. So having that clear, crystal clear, visual, like, yes, awareness that yes, my struggles don't disqualify me, but it can actually direct my purpose. And then M for minimize. Remove what drains you. What drains you is the waste, what doesn't serve you. So when it comes to your purpose, is let go of distractions and make a mental shift away from habits that actually block your purpose. So what are those habits, right? And then you want to align. So body, home, mind. This is A for align. This is where you refocus and you set intentions. You create rhythms that guide you toward your purpose from the inside out. Okay. And then we implement. These are sustainable actions. So take consistent steps that align your purpose with action, not just thought, right? Take consistent steps that align your purpose with action, not just thought. So this is where it goes from your mind, you thinking about it, to actually doing something about it. All right, so that's the implement. I is huge. We tend to get stuck in the awareness piece, but then we don't implement, right? Okay, and then the N is for nurture. This is the long-term growth. So support your purpose and just inspire the growth of others to live out their purpose. And that's what I'm doing here with this challenge. So I just want to thank you again for joining me this week. If you feel a tug about the 12-week experience or even the Remain 360, app, I want you to pray about it. I want you to talk with your spouse. I just want you first and foremost to seek out peace. Not pressure, but peace. But also don't ignore that nudge, right? Let's go from the E of evaluating and awareness to implementation. Your story isn't finished. It's just being entrusted. It's been entrusted to you. So again, thank you for walking this week out with me. I'm so proud of you. Type I'm ready if you're stepping forward in whatever it is, whatever way God is leading you today. Bye.